What's going on, fragrance family? It's your man Gator, better known as the Novice Nose out here in these fragrance streets. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about a fragrance that I was super excited about putting my nose on when I first heard about it. Now, it comes from the house of LATTAFA. Now, anybody that's been in FragCom for any amount of time knows that name, LATTAFA. They have built a reputation for being one of the best inspiration-based houses out there on the market right now. Now, they've got their own originals that they put out from time to time, but they are most well known for their inspired by fragrances that they've put out. I mean, I think of anything from Suquat to Vintage Radio. Vintage Radio is one of my favorites, by the way, because it's inspiration of Initio's Paragon, which I love. That LATTAFA Pride line in general is one that I love. I've got a couple of ones that I got over there that'll be ready to review in a little bit. Affection, I love that one from that LATTAFA Pride line. Dantique's 1505 is another one, which is that cherry smoke inspiration that I'm going to be doing a review for soon. Well, this was in that same line, and when I saw it, I said, let me check it out. This is Art of Wood, and I'm going to try to put this box up here. You're not going to be able to see a lot of it because of that gold plate there, so it won't focus the best here, but it's that standard LATTAFA Pride Collection flip top Zippo type lid here. I've got enough of these LATTAFA Pride booklets laying around here to start my own magazine. I'm telling you that now. But anyway, so this is the Art of Wood. If it do it now. Here we go. All right, so again, this is LATTAFA's Art of Wood, LATTAFA Pride Collection Art of Wood. So let me get into the notes, because there was a little bit of buzz. There's a couple of people that were talking about it online. I know Neve at Aromatics talked about it. A couple of other people mentioned it. And the way they presented it was that it was like Perseus from Parfumsdemarly, which is a really citric, kind of grapefruitish type of scent with a bit of added vanilla. Now, that sounded to me great because I actually liked Perseus. It just wasn't like astounding to me. But adding a little vanilla to it, that sounded like that could be pretty interesting. So, it was one of those fragrances that I had, I was like, hey, maybe I'll give that a try. So, full disclosure, I've actually had this for like a month or so. My supplier actually sent it to me, and this is one I was going to send back. But when I heard more about it, because there were no fragrance notes out there when I first received it, but when I heard more about it, I said, let me put my nose on it and see what it actually does. So I did that because it did sound intriguing to me. Let me go over the notes, by the way, right quick. So the top notes on this particular fragrance are pink pepper, grapefruit, and bergamot. The middle notes are patchouli, cedarwood, and rose. That note. And then base notes are vanilla, oak moss, and vetiver. Let me give it a little spray here. So, as you can see, atomizer is decent. LATTAFA always, does pretty good when it comes to their atomizers. They're not completely terrible in any way. So, anyway, I will say, before I really even get into the fragrance, that I think they misnamed this particular fragrance. So at the top, you do get a very decent amount of a grapefruit and that citrusiness at the top. It's a little bit spicy, a little bit of citric. Well, not even a little bit, a lot of citricness. You get a little bit of vanilla. But the thing that punches you in the face when you first spray this particular fragrance is the rose. It's what this rose, this kind of this jammy, not a sweet rose. The vanilla actually sweetens this fragrance up a little bit, but the rose that you're getting is this really hyper floral type of rose kick. It punches you in the face when you get it. If you've ever smelled LATTAFA's Amethyst, that Body Oud Amethyst in the purple bottle, it's got that type of vibe. I think that's an atomic rose dupe. It's got that type of rose vibe to it. And it punches you, man, from the get-go of this particular fragrance. So you do get some of that citricness in there. You do get a good dose of the vanilla as well. So I can see why people would describe, you know, it as being like a Perseus with some vanilla. But what they don't mention at all is that rose punch. And if you don't like rose, it will be an immediately off-putting type of fragrance to you. So when you first get that hit, you first get that blast, it is, like I said, an uber floral rose that you get in there. You do get some of that citricness as well. Into that 10 to 15 minute dry down, you get a little bit more vanilla that starts to creep in to smooth out that citricness that you're getting in there. So the citricness isn't, it smooths it out. It isn't very harsh or anything like that. But again, you get overwhelmed in the sensory with the rose. So the rose, as it dries down, becomes less jammy. It's never really sweet. Like I said, the vanilla kind of sweetens it up a little bit, but it goes more from that jammy, thick, super thick rose to more of a super uber floral rose. And I'm talking about, this starts to happen into that 15 to 20 minute mark of this particular fragrance. So if you don't like roses, I'm going to tell you right now, this is not going to be the fragrance for you, because that rose that's in this particular fragrance, this carries throughout the life of the fragrance. They call it the art of wood. The wood, that cedar that this has in it, doesn't really begin to kind of creep up until maybe into that 30 to 40 minute mark. And it's not really that noticeable because you're getting overwhelmed with the floral in this particular fragrance. They should have actually called this art of rose. That's just how uber present the rose note is in this particular fragrance. Now, you do get some of that clean vetiver, and what that clean vetiver does in the base, it begins to kind of freshen up the rose. Like I said, it starts out super uber floral, and then it gets a little bit fresher as the time progresses. But don't get me wrong, it maintains that floral vibe, that floral feeling throughout the entirety of the life of the fragrance. A fragrance that I could take and use as a compare and contrast, if I was to compare like the rose and grapefruit combination, would be Brioni Eclat, right? So Brioni Eclat, and I got that sitting over there right now. Brioni Eclat has this, as a matter of fact, Brioni Eclat uses this grapefruit and rose combo as well. But the Eclat has a fresh rose. It's not an uber floral rose. It's very fresh. It's almost like, you know, you're smelling it off of a vine, basically. And it's clean. It's very, very clean. This one, it becomes fresher as it progresses, but it's for the most part uber floral, uber jammy going into that hour and a half dry down mark. It doesn't really ever get thin. Like this one, if I was to categorize this as thick, if you've ever smelled this, this would be a thinner type of rose. This would be a thick type of rose. This is going to persist throughout the life of this particular fragrance. Now, is it very pleasant? Yes, it's a very pleasant wear, at least for me. I like rose. I like the way rose presents off my skin. It is a very classy type of fragrance. This is very good in like crisp air, because you know when you get florals and you get them in crisp air, they have a tendency to travel and dance in the air and in the breeze. So this would be another one that would be really nice if you were outside at like a party or something like that and you had a little bit of crisp air out there. But this is very much unisex. This is not leaning masculine. That cedar note that is in here that they want to define art of wood by, that cedar note is almost indistinguishable for that first hour. Once you get into the late dry down, maybe into the 4-hour, 5-hour mark, you pick up a little bit more of it. But for the most part, you're getting a rose-based fragrance. Like I said, they could have called it the Art of Rose, and I think that would have been a more accurate description. As far as performance on this thing, when I sprayed it on, it lasts on my skin for about 8 hours. It lasts on clothes until it was time to wash it. It was, wash my shirts. It had, and I wore it a couple times. It was 8 hours on skin both times I wore it. Projection was arm's length. Pretty much both times I wore it. Now I will say the second time I wore it, it was a little bit cooler outside, which is why I can speak honestly about how it performs in the air. I did get a few compliments on this particular fragrance. They said it was very pleasant. Now they did also say that it smelled sweet, and it was kind of like a very floral type thing. And I actually had somebody say it's very floral. You don't get a lot of men who, men are usually afraid to wear florals, and that'll give you all you need to know about this particular fragrance. It is very much a floral type of fragrance. That being said, I enjoyed my wear on it. It is a like, not a love for me when it comes to LATTAFA'S releases. I feel like this is more of an original release here, or a hybrid release for them, and I won't say that it's bad, but I can't say that I love it either. I think it's a strong meh for me. I like it though. It's something that I might actually wear again if in a more dressed up type of situation. If I know I'm gonna be, out and about outside. If I'm gonna be inside with this fragrance, I don't want to really wear it because it does have a little bit of potency to it, and it can overwhelm people, especially people who are sensitive to florals. If you are sensitive to florals, or you're around an area that might be sensitive to florals, I would say this is not a safe office scent, for example. This is not something you would wear in the office at all. Overall though, it's not a bad fragrance. It may not be for me, and it's just not the one that I would really like. But if you're into rose fragrances, if you're into uber floral fragrances, I might actually pick this up. And it is unisex, so if you're into that type of fragrance DNA, hey, give it a try. But don't, by Art of Wood, you're thinking it's gonna be something uber masculine. Nah, this is the furthest from that. So just buyer beware when it comes to this fragrance. That's all I got on it right now, guys. Make sure, have you put your nose on it? Let me know what you think about it, because it actually performs pretty good. But again, it's more unisex than anything, man. And as always, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and also make sure you share this video with somebody you know that loves fragrances. Till the next time, guys, I'm out of here. Peace out.